Okay.
Kayla got the 111, number one. Sipping lemonade, throwing light shade.
Tell about the story, since we all have stories.
Hi everyone, it's Kayla Got the 411. I'm back for another What's Your Story segment. Now you all know this segment is very special. It's dedicated to authors, entrepreneurs, public figures who have a story. I personally believe in telling your own story so nobody else can tell your story and get it wrong. So I'm here with the beautiful Victoria Fulton and Faith McLaren. Now I like to ask everybody on this show, like, how are you doing, especially with the pandemic, checking in on you, your family, and your mental health?
Yeah.
We're doing okay. We are both vaccinated and boosted. So
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah.
All our family, everybody seems to be okay so far. So fingers crossed that it stays that way. But in our mental health, I think we both struggled more last year.
Yeah, for sure. Last year was definitely harder.
I'm trying to decide if I struggled more the first year or the second year.
I feel like I struggled midway through the first year.
Yeah.
I feel like midway through the second year when you're just like, I can't go anywhere. I can't do anything. And I have a 12-year-old son. So it was, we're all trapped at home for.
Yeah. It was fun first. Yeah, because I worked and they was like, everybody's going home. We were like, see you next week. And then I haven't seen coworkers in like 2 years.
Oh my gosh. Are you still working from home primarily?
Yes, I'm still working from home. They're supposed to be transitioning us like in May. But I'm like, hey, we're home now. We're comfortable, So that was a big adjustment for everyone. I think it's important just to asking people, how are you doing? Being home, and some people lost their job. You just never know how people are doing. So I like to ask people beginning, how are you and how are your family? So if everybody's watching, let me tell you a little bit about these two. So you all are co-authors and you all wrote a book called Horror Hotel. So the book is pretty much a horror novel about a group of teen ghost hunters who spend the night at a haunted LA hotel. It is the Blair Witch Project of the TikTok generation. I love TikTok. Okay. I am obsessed with TikTok. I find myself either crying, laughing, or something. So I think that having a book like this, especially for kids who can kind of relate, because a lot of these kids are on the electronics and reading, you gotta read, and reading something fun is very important. But how did you ladies actually meet?
How did we meet?
We actually met on an online class. So we actually met online, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And thematically, we met in an online class with a YA author named Nova Rin Suma. And she actually had a class for YA and middle grade kind of aspiring authors. So it was like an online chat room basically, but it was a class with I feel like 12 people maybe. And we all just critiqued each other's work. And that's where Rebecca and I was actually moving to LA in the middle of the class. And she was still in Texas at the time. And so we just kind of after the class, we stayed in touch and then ended up becoming really good friends.
Yeah. And then when my family and I decided to move to LA, it was, 5 years ago?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That was when we first sort of were like, maybe we could write something together. And that was kind of but we had very similar dreams, big dreams.
We're big dreamers. So we wanted to do, we both wanted to be authors, but we also both wanted to work on movies. So hence LA, I guess. And so we kind of bonded on screenwriting was kind of our first thing that we bonded on, and ended up writing books together. So yeah, whatever.
That's so amazing. I've met some of the most amazing people through social media. It's so amazing how you meet someone and you connect. I have a few friends and we text each other. It's crazy. Sometimes the people that you meet online, you can come closer than the people in your real life friends.
Yeah, well,
yes,
because you connect on things that you're both really interested in. I think so. Like in your real life, you're often like, I feel like connecting with like people because you go to the same church or your kids are in school together, or like, you know, you live in the same neighborhood. But online, you're connecting because you like the same things, and or like for us, like we were passionate about the same things. So like, I think it does make those relationships really special and unique.
Oh, that's amazing. Wow. I feel hopeful for my friends that I've made. We got to do something together.
you guys have to get the same, move to the same city if they can move to Georgia with you.
Yeah,
move down the street.
Everybody lives in different states. It's like, oh my gosh, like come move to Georgia. But this weather, like I said earlier, it'll drive you crazy. Now I know ladies earlier, you guys said that you all had dreams of being an author. So take it back to when you were little kids, you know, like for example, I used to draw. I never saw something in myself like I was really good at creating, like drawing and stuff. And it took me a while for other people to see it. Was that something that you all were doing when you were younger, into books and writing?
We have very different answers for this.
So Victoria will go first.
No, I didn't know that so I didn't really know that like novel writing was a thing that you could like sort of get paid to do and like do for a kind of a living. So, but I really liked to write. I enjoyed writing, and I was good at it. And I did love stories. So I did like watch. I mostly watched my stories though. Like I was really into like TV shows for kids, like cartoons, and like I just would get very into stories and storytelling. But when I was a kid, I wanted to be a clown. So I don't know. I had this thing like I wanted to make balloon animals. So I got on this clown kick for a while.
I just learned
that I was going to be a clown.
I did not know.
So author was not on the menu, but for some reason clown was. I don't know why. So
you feel like you'll do anything, and then you get to life. You're like, okay, I don't know if a clown is going to be able to pay this mortgage.
Yeah. You know, no disrespect to clowns, because I think it's actually really cool, like profession. But I don't know why that entered the picture. I have no idea. I can't tell you why that entered the picture. But yeah, it ended up. And still, I'm not sure novel writing is the thing that pays the bills. I mean, I went to school for chemical engineering, so you know, so I'm not a chemical engineer, but like, but I thought I need a day job, you know, like so that was kind of the direction that I went. And then now you can answer.
Yeah. So I mean, I didn't always want to be an author, but I did pretty much from like the first time I saw a movie, I wanted to be an actress. And I said that pretty consistently throughout my like childhood and like early adolescence. I was like, I'm going to be an actress. I'm going to move to Hollywood. I tried to run away, actually physically run away to LA, like California, multiple times. My brother, like I like packed my caboodles box and like with like PB&J and my jellies, you know, and like walked out. Like
we all just ran away, because I ran away. But I went to the neighbor house when I was a kid. I only had a teddy bear and a bag of chips. So we all ran away. Okay.
Like, how were we going to survive? I had like one sandwich in there. But like, so I was like, I want to move to Hollywood. So that was always actually on my radar, was coming here. But I kind of, because of that, I think I started like writing stories to make my friends act them out, and so I could be in them. So I like would do like little home movies and like stage plays like that. I would just make my friends do, but I wrote them. And so I guess that was where the writing started, was kind of just from a desire to have people watch me so I could perform. Sort of
the where we both drawn to like storytelling and things related to storytelling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I don't know if you ladies heard of like a life path numbers, where sometimes
yeah.
So my life path number is 3. And when I look at it, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm doing exactly what they said I was going to be doing. Talking, entertaining. It's almost crazy. And sometimes people can see things in you at a young age, or those teachers. And, oh, you're really good at storytelling. Like, you're not thinking anything. You're like, okay, I'm going to be a clown. Like, I'm not. And then you get older, like it all makes sense. And I think you ladies, you all met for a reason, because you all are doing what you love together. Now, your PR, she framed it to me as the 5-day book deal via Twitter. Okay, very unique. Now, how did you ladies stumble upon that opportunity by having a book deal in just 5 days?
Yeah.
Pretty insane.
It is. There's this very well-known editor. Her name's Wendy Loja, and she tweeted like from her personal Twitter, which is also, you know, where she talks about books that she's looking for. And she tweeted that she was looking for books for proposals from agented authors that for a newer kind of line that they were developing with her at the publisher at Penguin Random House
called Underlined.
And she wanted agented authors to submit proposals for young adult romance, horror, and thrillers. And one of those, and
we didn't have an idea actually previously.
We did not see the tweet either. Somebody sent sent it over and was like, you guys should do this. Like, they were like, that you could do this. And like, I guess like we hadn't done anything in YA yet. You know, we had an adult book they were working on that we, you know, had a book deal for. And so we like got on the phone with each other and we're like, do we want to do this?
Yeah. So we ended up like actually coming up with an idea. Like we went back and forth for 2 hours in Faith's backyard, and like just eventually just like came up with an idea, and we're like, that's it. And we like actually shook hands. Like we knew that was the idea, and this is what we ended up seeing. And then
curious, like, how did they come to agreement on the plot, the characters, the theme? Like, you gotta be.
Yeah, we're so good at it. Like we are, like we're so like fast, and like we agree very quickly, and like we're very open creatively with each other. So it's not like I don't feel like there's like that sort of like, no, I don't want to do that. Like it's very like an open creative process of like, yeah, and then yeah, you know, it's like kind of a very flowy creative process. We don't like disagree with each other a lot in terms of like what should happen in the plot or the character with the characters,
which made it possible for us to like come up with an idea quickly, pitch it to our agent quickly, and she was like, go ahead, write the proposal, like that's a great idea. And then it was like in a weekend, you know, wrote
like within 5 days, we had an 11 page proposal, 42 pages of the book. And then we turned it into our agent. And then a week later, we got the offer for the book deal.
Oh my, what was your reaction when they called? Did they call or email? Like, what was your reaction?
Screaming. Our agent called us, Faith, these are our pen names, so sometimes we have to remember. Faith actually drove over to my house. I was like still asleep. And so like, I like woke up and she's like, Katie wants to talk to us, our agent. And she like came into the house, we called Katie, and then we both just started screaming. Because we just weren't expecting, I don't know, like you do something and you're like, this is a cool thing. And you know, then it pans out. You're like, oh my God.
And that's so inspirational too, because sometimes when you're like, I really hope we get it, but sometimes in the back of your head, I know sometimes I'm hard on myself, like, oh no, it just couldn't happen. And then when you finally say you guys got it, like I probably would have cried. I'm such a crybaby. Did you cry?
I mean, we did cry.
Did we? I think we cried. I think a little. There was a little tear action.
It was like shock and awe, I think, more than anything, because it was just so fast. And like you said, like that kind of like we believed that we did something good. Like we knew that it was really special, and it was just kind of that feeling of like, this is really good. Like this is maybe they're gonna think this is good. Like, and it was kind of like built up momentum, and then it was like
we worked really hard to get to an idea too that we felt like it, you know, like that when you get an idea and you know it's the one, and you get that sort of gut jump of like, this is something, you know. So I think we had this like full body knowing.
Feeling is you're like, this is it. Like this is it.
Yes, that's exactly what this felt like. It was like, this is the idea. And then when we went to do it, there was a kind of a confidence, because we both had that feeling of like, we know
we're going in the right direction. Yeah. Like this is the right direction for us to go.
That's so amazing. Like as a creative, I love hearing stories like that as well, because I'm a solo creative. So sometimes I'm like, I don't really know if it's, but normally what I'll do, I'll send it to other creatives just to kind of get their, you know, it's good. Like nobody can tell you anything. And then plus it seemed like it was a challenge. In 5 days, that's like a challenge. It was like a game. And you guys won the game at the end.
Yeah. And I love what you said about the creative, like the community, because, you know, just because you maybe are solo or something, or are partnered up or whatever, but, you know, as long as you have that community, like, you know, you can have that confirmation, that validation that you need, that this is the idea, right? And they're like, yes, that's the idea. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's so important to have a creative community that you can like bounce ideas off of, and like that you can trust to give you honest back.
Trust, yes. Trust is such a word when it comes to somebody you also respect too. Like, I think you all have a great respect for one another. So you know that you're not going to lead each other wrong because you're a team. When one wins, you both win and your families win. So I love that. So speaking of TikTok, you all, I love TikTok. I just sit on TikTok and I just laugh. But this is a TikTok generation. A lot of teens spend their time on TikTok. So what was your main goal and reason for choosing a book targeted to young adults?
So I think young adults like frequently throughout history they changed the world. And I just think that it's such an like underrated age, that sort of like, I don't know, 12 to 17 or even like 10 to 20, like that age range is just, first of all, there's just so much going on, in terms of their growth and their learning, what kind of person they're going to be. But also like, that's like the time where you see so many people like doing kind of they have like revolutionary ideas. It's such a fresh part of our, because like when you get older and older, you have more responsibilities, you have more things that tie you down, you have bills, you have kids maybe, or a mortgage, and like young adults, they don't have that. So there's sort of like this freedom there too. And so I think we both love that, like that age range to write for and to write about, because it's just such a you could do anything. It's so much possibility.
Yeah, I mean, and they're a little bit less unencumbered too with like what they think is like good to do or right to do or whatever. I mean, because they are more like in touch with I think their access to their emotions and their gut and their instincts, don't have as much like weighted down on them.
There's more gray area.
Yeah, there's a lot more like space to play with. And I think they're also just like writing for teens, you're able to like tell different kinds of stories than we can really tell for adults.
And I like how you all made it relatable too, because the main point of the story is about a group of famous YouTubers. They're ghost hunters and they're thinking that they're going into this haunted hotel. It's going to get some fun, spooky things. They go in there and they realize like, okay, this is more than spooky. Like, now we're dealing with a serial killer. Now, have you all heard of a hotel called the Cecil Hotel?
Yeah.
So I came across a documentary on YouTube and I said, when I read it, I was like, oh my gosh, like I wonder, was that like in your head when you was creating the book? Like, was that in your mind?
Yeah.
So when I actually first moved here in 2013, that is when Elisa Lam disappeared. And so I was at the Cecil Hotel, and I was so like just taken by the story of this woman. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, like, so that story, then it became a thing on Netflix. I don't know if you watched the Netflix documentary. Oh, you're too scared. Yeah, I understand. I mean, I watched that elevator. There's a video of Elisa in the elevator.
It's spooky. I mean, the documentary is spooky.
And I watched it probably so much.
Turned it off. I said, yeah, not right now.
Like, not today. Not today. Yeah. So we had watched that documentary and we were both like, she had already like been really involved, like really into the Elisa Lam story. And
the Cecil Hotel in general. Yeah.
And we had talked about it before, like we talked about it at other times in our friendship that had nothing to do with this book. Right. And we watched the documentary, but I like think we both also were really drawn to the idea of this hotel, this like place that was very like kind of held a lot of darkness. Like I had experienced a lot of deaths and like, what would that place really be like if you were there? And it definitely attracts serial killers, because there was a serial killer that actually lived in the Cecil Hotel in the 80s. The Night Stalker lived there for a period of time. So we just like, we're so interested in that. And like, if you took teenagers to that location, there's no way that couldn't be like wild. It would have to be a good story.
Yeah, the hotel is so fascinating. And we also really, I really loved Elisa Lam's blog. Like I love her writing, really moved me. Because she has a blog called Nouveau Nouvelle. And some of her writing, I mean, she's gone, but her writing is still, you can still read it and you can go to her blog. And I went through like her posts and I just thought, what an interesting idea of, and a tragic idea of somebody like who's going to be this great writer. Probably she was a really just profound writer and a really interesting human being. and then, you know, kind of leaving the earth too soon. And, you know, just, I think as artists, we all have that sort of like, what if something happens to me before I get to do everything I want to do? And so that was in there as well.
Wow, I think that's going to be relatable too, because I think a lot of teens, they may think it's cool. So do the teens in LA, do they think it's cool? Do they like sneak there and visit?
I mean, you see people outside, you know, like
taking pictures. Yeah.
We drove down there when we were working on the book. We went down to the Cecil, and because it's obviously it's not that far from where we live, and there are always like tourists and people like just around it trying to look inside. They are actually doing some construction in it now to like rehabilitate the building, because it's been kind of closed down. I was like right after.
Yeah, they've been doing it for a few years, and it's going to become affordable housing, which is the fate that I think it deserves because of the history of the hotel and the place that it's in. So I think, you know, it's a good, instead of being a hotel, it's going to house people in downtown LA. And I think that's, yeah, I mean,
I was looking forward to asking you all that question, because I wonder if that was in their mind, but it was. So you all, when you got the deal, they called you all and you told your family and friends, like, what were their reaction?
Shocked. I think everybody was really surprised, because it wasn't, you know, it was
fast.
It was within 2 weeks. We had nothing. We had no book, no idea, nothing. And then all of a sudden we had a book deal, and then we had a crazy deadline. So everybody, a very, very quick deadline. So we had to write the book in like 2 months, and which was like pretty intense for a full manuscript. So I think everybody was like shocked, and then we had to like really get to work, and that was kind of like interesting.
We didn't really have a lot of time to like think about it, which I think actually was really helpful, because neither of us had ever written a book on deadline for a publisher that was going to be published. Right. So I think having to just immediately jump in and just write it, we didn't really get in our own way of like, can we do this? It was like, you have to do this. Like, we're going to do this. We're doing it.
They always push you. It's almost like excited. It's adrenaline rush. Like, okay, we got this date. We got to go. Because if you always just sitting around, like, you probably can take like 6 months to do it if you just hang up. Where did you all mainly write the book? Did you go to like the library? Did you do it at home, at the park?
We both write primarily at home, and especially because we had to write it, like, this was like sort of, I guess, I don't know what wave it was of the pandemic, but it was the beginning or middle of 2021 that we sort of had to write it / middle beginning. So of like 2021. So we really couldn't at that point. You can kind of go out, but you have to wear a mask. It's not super comfortable. So especially in Los Angeles. So so we both just wrote it at home.
And then, but we did at the end, we had kind of like leading up to the retreat deadline. We did, it had kind of calmed down a little bit for the pandemic, and we were able to go to a hotel in LA that has a little bit of a haunted past, not the Cecil to stay, but to do the final like 4 days and turn in the book. So like the last bit we did right in a
little riding retreat, like in Los Angeles, though, in Pasadena.
Did you ladies document it? I would definitely watch a vlog of you guys' journey.
We should. I thought about it. Like, we're writing about YouTubers. We might as well start a YouTube channel or something. I don't know. We thought about it, but
we put it on our Instagram, I think.
It's inspirational for two ladies to meet in a class and become great friends, and then get this amazing opportunity. And it leads to my next question. Now, I just feel like we are in a place where we as women can create our own opportunities. I've created an entire talk show. You ladies came and became authors. Like, what was the takeaway when you guys wrote this book? Like, did you all look at each other and say, wow, like, we did it?
We did. Actually, I feel like we did do that.
Yeah, I think that it was, when we wrote this book, it felt, it was the whole experience of writing this, like, it was just like, it was very empowering, because, there was this opportunity that was on Twitter of all places. And we just just decided to do it and did it. And like, it worked. And I think that like you have those experiences, and you have a lot of experiences where it doesn't work too, but when you have an experience where you try something and it works, that's a real confidence boost. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no matter, like, even if you try something and fail, I think it adds to your confidence,
you still
actually,
tried
because
it,
you
and
tried.
that's important. I mean,
so no matter what, the success part isn't the part that's, you know, the most interesting. It's really the trying something different. And you know, we don't always get to see, but this is the thing that you know, we get to tell you the story, and like we get to talk about it, you know, because it is a success. And so yeah, I think that we both kind of turned to each other when it was all done, and we were just like, what was that? You know, what?
well, and
let's do it again.
we had both been like not trying, but like, you know, working towards a goal of being published
for years and years,
for a long time.
Yeah, this wasn't an overnight thing.
And so I think because this was like, it was really cool because we found this opportunity that was created by another woman in the industry as well. Like Wendy is a female editor, and we took that opportunity. We were able to do something with it, and then we also found like this moment of like culmination of a lot of this work together. And it was like, it just kind of shows you what you can do when you like actually like find people that you click with and let people help you, and kind of like realize that you're better, you're stronger together, which is very much a theme that we kind of played with a little bit in Horror Hotel.
Yeah, because
the group is stronger together, like you're stronger together. So I think that we were both like, we did this, and it was a culmination of a lot of hard work.
Amazing. So before we get towards the end, so let's say there's a young girl, she reads your book and she comes up to you, like, I really, really want to be an author. I really want to publish my book. Like, what advice would you give her?
Would you want to start?
Okay. Yeah. My advice is always to sit down and write. So I've actually had I work with writers who want to write books in my other part of my life. And there's a lot of people who want to write books, no matter what age you are, you can do it. But just wanting to do it isn't enough. You have to sit down and do it. So first, sit down and do it. Second, don't be afraid to do it wrong for a while, because you have to do it. You have to get it out there and let other people read it, let other people give you feedback, be open to learning, and not afraid to you know, not be perfect. And because that's how you're going to become a good writer, is to do it and fail and then do it again.
Agreed. And my little tidbit of advice real quick is that I feel like there are so many rules. Anytime you get into any industry, there are so many rules. And I do think it's important to know the rules, but I also think it's important to kind of forget the rules and follow your heart. So one of the things that I think is really valuable about this story is that, you know, there was no opportunity until we decided there was, you know what I mean? So we saw the opportunity, we did it. It was different than how you usually do things in sort of the traditional publishing world. So, you know, it's like, be open to the possibilities. Our first book, we actually self-published chapter by chapter and wrote on Wattpad. So there's so many ways to become a published author. So be open to what, you know, so like my thing is always listen to your heart. Don't listen to all the outside voices, like tune in here and let that be your driver and your motivator.
Even I take that on. I was actually just telling artists this, because I normally work with a lot of music artists on this show. And I was like, you got to put out music. You don't know.
Yeah. You got to put it out there.
Nobody can listen to it. If they say it sucks, you won't know if you don't put it out. You have to put it out and get critique on there. So I think that's great advice for everyone in this creative field. Put it out. Okay. If they hate it, okay.
Yeah.
Somebody.
You can edit it.
Do you have them put it out on TikTok a lot? Do you have them put their music out on TikTok? I feel like TikTok is where I find all my music now.
You know, I told them to put it on SoundCloud or YouTube. Because normally I prefer artists who have it on Spotify or iTunes, but if you're not confident in the SoundCloud, you know, there's so many people there. They'll give you feedback, and there's so many creatives like SZA. You guys know SZA, she had a song on SoundCloud that was just a rough draft, and fans was like, put it out, and it went #1 on Billboard.
That's so great. Gosh. I love that.
Fans want it. That's a great advice. Just put it out. So ladies, as we get to the end, tell us more about the book and where people can purchase the book and find you as well on social media.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So social media, we're Victoria X Faith. We're Victoria X Faith on Instagram and Victoria X Faith on Twitter. We're not on TikTok yet, but if we are on TikTok, we couldn't get Victoria X Faith. So we're Victoria and Faith on TikTok, whatever.
And you can buy the book anywhere books are sold. You can buy it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, your local indie bookstore, Book Depository. If you're not in the US, that's a really great way to get it. And it's online and it's in physical bookstores.
Yes, even Walmart. I seen it on Walmart.
Yeah.
Everybody
So wild.
It was so amazing talking to you all. I'm so happy to have authors on this segment. I've been trying to find the right authors, and I think you ladies' story was perfect. And I believe March is Women's International Month, so I think it all worked out perfectly having you on here. How perfect, chill, fun.
Yes.